Hey guys, let's get straight to the point. Today we're going to show you how we set up our XS20 to have the best hybrid camera experience. So let's jump into the settings. All right, so this is the menu of the Fujifilm XS20, and it also applies to the newer Fujifilm cameras. If you have the X-T5, XH2, XH2S, or the X100V, it should look pretty much the same. On the first page, we have image size. It's always going to be large, which is the biggest image size possible. And if you really need to save space, then you can go with a smaller one. The next one, this one is JPEG plus RAW. We're always taking photos in JPEG and RAW just in case we need to edit the photos in post to change the look or edit the photos in camera to get a different film recipe onto that same photo. So fine plus RAW, not normal, fine. So the highest quality of the JPEG possible. And then raw recording, we have lossless compressed. This one, because we don't really think there's a huge difference between the uncompressed and the lossless compressed raw. And that is the quality of the photo. That only affects your raw photos, so not your JPEG. So this one, we choose lossless compressed to get the smaller file size. And then we choose to have JPEG because as of today, not all the computers or smart devices will support HEIF or HEIF file format. So we keep it as JPEG to keep things simple. So you can see all the photos onto all your different devices. These are the Fujifilm film simulation settings. This one is the Kodak Gold 200, which is currently our favorite recipe. This is just up to you to get the creative look, so you can copy this. This is from Fujifilm X Weekly, not our recipe, but we really love this recipe. So for white balance, we use auto white balance for street photography, but if you are using this camera or if you're doing a client session or a photo session where you want consistent kind of color balance, you should set it to different color or white balance settings. We have usually the Kelvin setup to different color temperature according to the scene that we are at. So white balance is really, really important to get the right look in camera. Next, we have dynamic range. This one, it's really depending on the amount of highlights or shadows that you want to preserve. DR400 has a minimum ISO on the XS20 at 640. So if your scene is too bright, you want to underexpose your scene, you should set it to a DR100 or auto if you want to. The range priority, we usually set it to off. We don't really care about this part. So we're just going to tell you guys like all the settings that we care about as a hybrid user, where I do like half photos and half videos on the XS20. So these are the settings. So not really like photo focus or just video focus. So these are again, the creative settings for the film recipe. For long exposure noise reduction, we basically turn off all the noise reduction on Fujifilm cameras or any camera. If there's noise, especially on Fujifilm cameras, they are not that bad at all, because for noise reduction, that is to remove any color or like chroma noise where you see like a lot of like dots or like dust in the image if you're taking photos or videos in higher ISO. This one affects the photos. And Fujifilm cameras, they usually have really nice noise where they look like film grain, so we don't need the noise reduction. We'll do it in post if we really need it. This one, we don't know what it is, so we're not going to change it, but then it's default to be on, so we didn't touch it. Color space is always sRGB. Pixel mapping, this is just to remap your pixel on your sensor. This is for you to save different settings on your custom mode. On the XS20, you have 4 custom modes. And for the first 3, we have it set to photos custom mode. And for custom 4, we just saved it as a video custom mode. So that's why you don't see the camera icon there. Auto update custom setting, this one is really tricky because if you don't enable this, sometimes when you use a custom mode and you change some of the settings, it will not go back, or actually if you don't have it enabled, it will go back to the default custom mode settings. So let's say, if I remember correctly, I think exposure compensation, if you adjust it in a custom mode or while you're using a custom mode and you don't have this enabled and you turn off the camera, it will flip back to the custom mode exposure compensation number instead of whatever that you just adjusted to. And so this one, we enable it so on the go, we can change the settings when we turn off the camera for like, I don't know, well, while you're like walking around, you don't have to have the camera turned on all the time. Then the settings will be updated. But then, yes, try it out and see if you like to keep the settings or adjustments on the go. We really wish that Fujifilm will allow us to choose what kind of settings to be updated on the go and what to be kept not unchanged, but they don't have it right now. So this is where you set up the custom mode to different, not different, but just dedicated to photos or videos. So you have to choose it for some reason. So we have 3 custom settings for photos and 1 for video. We might change this to another photo because this is basically just manual video mode, which it's on the dial already. So we might change that after to the photo mode again. This one, again, we don't use it. We don't use adapters, but this is the default settings. Focus area is basically for you to adjust where the focus box is, so that is not really a setting thing. Focus mode, we use single autofocus when we are taking photos because we like having the focus box and focus, half press the shutter to focus, recompose, or whatever that you need to do. And instead of having it on continuous autofocus because it keeps adjusting the focus point, and that is good if you are doing an action kind of photo, and you need the continuous autofocus to track your subject, then you use continuous autofocus. But then for regular street photography, we just use single autofocus, so it locks onto the focus point and it will not keep hunting or like going back and forth if your subject is moving. So that's how we set it up. And AF mode, we have it as single point, which is that like one single box here for photo. So for photo, we can use this box to focus and recompose. And for wide tracking, that is usually if you're doing, let's say, an interview A roll where there's only one subject, then sure, you can use it to track your subject. So for video mode, we can use that. But we still love using single point, even if it's for street videography, because we don't want the focus box to keep hunting for like faces and like jump to like all over the places. So that's why. AFC settings, this is for photo, and we just leave it at 1, which is multi-purpose, and it's totally fine. We don't really find it missing focus in photo mode that much anyway, so we didn't touch that part. And this one is store AF mode by orientation. It will basically switch the AF box to the appropriate spot. If you're changing the camera into like a portrait mode, we keep it off so it doesn't like jump to all over the places. Like we just want to keep that box in the center most of the time. That's how we focus when we're using DSLRs anyway. So that's how we are setting it up here. AF point display, we I don't know why this one is there. If I turn it on, I don't think it's doing anything to that focus box. So we'll just leave it off. It's a default setting as well. Wrap focus point, we enable it. This is the default setting again. Number of focus point, we keep it at 117 or 117 point because we want to be able to move the focus box very quickly on the screen instead of having like 425 points. That's a lot of points to move. So if we move the joystick, it will just move the focus box very quickly. By the way, if you want to move the focus box back to center instead of like moving it manually or guessing it where the center is, you can just tap onto or click onto the back button. It'll go back to the center and you just press onto the joystick. That's just a quick tip. Pre-AF, these things, we turn everything off. The AF illuminator, I think it's the light in the front. We turn it off just so we don't trigger anyone like seeing the light at the front when we're focusing. Face eye detection on these cameras is really, really tricky. So what happened is if you have eye or if you have face detect on, if you have the subject in the focus box and you have continuous autofocus or even like single point autofocus, if you have pressed the focus or the shutter button, it will track the subject's face. On newer Fujifilm cameras, let's say the XS20, they're pretty good in face tracking, but eye tracking is a different story. In photo mode, sure, it will track the eyes pretty accurately. It will switch the face and then body detection if they don't see that person's eyes like or detect that person's eyes that like accurately. But then in video mode, if you have eye autofocus turned on, that will make the camera keep hunting for the eyes. So we keep this on face and eye off for most of the time. For street photography, we even turn this off completely. That is just when we are doing like a portrait photo session. So portrait photo session, keep the face detect on, but not eye on, especially for video. So you just need to make sure that it's not hunting. Subject detection, this is just for animal, train, cars, so we turn it off most of the time. AF plus MF, we turn this off because if you are using autofocus and if you accidentally touch the focus ring on your lens, it will change to manual focus. We usually don't do that. Manual focus assist, this is for you when you are using manual focus on your camera where you will see the focused area having like a highlight. This one we set it to red high plus, oh high, not high plus, red high. So if that subject or whatever that you're trying to focus on is in focus, it will have like a red kind of rim or like highlight on the outside edge of that subject. So that will help. So manual focus assist will set it to peak, but if you're not using manual focus, you will not see the highlight. Focus check, we don't use it, we turn off. We don't know what this is, but this is the default setting. This one right here, AFS, same thing. We did not touch any of these. So for this one right here, AFS, AFC, so for the focus priority or release priority, this is where the camera will decide when to take the photo. If it's set to focus, the camera will only take photos if the subject is in focus. We should have it set to release. If it's in release mode, that means when you press the shutter button, it will just take the picture no matter if the photo or the subject is in focus. So just keep them in release. So you will have a photo instead of like no photo at all, even if the camera thinks that the subject is not in focus. AF range limiter, this is just for you to limit the camera to focus in certain range of the distance. And if you have it set, then it will not focus out of that focus zone, but then we don't touch it just because we don't want to be limited when we're focusing on our subjects. Touch screen, we're just using this to touch the screen and move the focus point when you're taking photos. So we'll set AF. Touch shooting means you will tap on the screen to take a photo. We don't use that. We just use it to move our focus point. And we did not touch any of these. And these are just higher burst mode where it will pre-take photos before you even press the shutter button. And timer bracket, we don't use these. Film simulation bracketing, this is really interesting. If you are not sure which film simulation or not recipe, just film simulation to use on that photo, then you use this to set like 3 different film simulation and take one photo during that film simulation bracketing settings, and it will take 3 different film simulation photos for you. So that is just something that is pretty fun to use. And photometry, this is for the light metering. We use multi to adjust the exposure, or let the camera decide how to adjust the exposure. Basically, judging the entire scene. We keep it at multi because we use the exposure compensation in aperture priority mode most of the time, so it doesn't really matter. Shutter type, we usually keep it in electronic shutter so it doesn't make any noise, but It really depends on the situation. If you're indoor and you need mechanical shutter because you see like LED light where it gives you like the bending flickering, then you should keep it at mechanical shutter. But we usually take photos during daytime, so mechanical shutter doesn't go up too high that it will keep the photos exposed properly. So we keep it in electronic shutter most of the time, and the quality is pretty much the same. Like you're losing a little bit of dynamic range, but we're not really complaining. For these ones, we basically just leave them um, off or to its default settings. IS mode, this one is basically the IBIS of the camera. We leave it to shooting only because we don't want to use the processor to keep the image stabilized before we're taking the photo. I don't know why we have to keep it on if we basically just want it to be stabilizing the photo when we're taking the actual photo. And for ISO, we usually set it to auto. And for auto, we have the default sensitivity set to 160, which is the lowest ISO on the XS20. And the highest is 6,400. Now, that's still fine for this kind of sensor, the X Trans 4 sensor on the XS20, because the noise, again, is really film grain-like. So 640 is the max that we will go. And the noise is still looking like film grain. And for minimum shutter speed, we will set it to 1/250th of a second, just in case, because of different focal length, we don't want to be like adjusting the shutter speed and according to the focal range or the focal length. Usually you should double your focal length. Let's say if you're using a 50mm lens, you should set it to minimum 1/100th of a second to have like a stable image without like motion blur when you're pressing your shutter button or anything like that. But we keep it at 1/250th just in case we want like a sharper image. Cooling fan, that is for the fan accessories that you can attach to the camera. We just leave it at auto. We don't even have the fan. The flash function, this one is only available not only available on the XS20, but then we usually just leave it at TTL mode. When you have the flash pop up in menu mode, you can adjust the power of the flash, but we don't use the flash that much. But if you have it, you can set it here. Red eye removal, this is to remove the red eye when you're using flash, because if you use flash, usually like some people, they will have red eyes and it will probably just flash at once and then flash again just to remove that red eye. And everything else is in default settings. For video mode, this is really important because we want to use the XS20 as a hybrid camera, so we don't use manual mode for video. We still use aperture priority. So basically what happened is when we're taking photos, we are going to just quickly press onto the red record button and it will take videos in this settings. I know that the shutter speed will be wrong. It will most likely be not 180-degree shutter angle when we're taking videos. So the motion blur will be really funky. If it's like a bright daylight, you'll see that everything is like super sharp, kind of like um, you don't see these kind of motion blur. But this camera right now is at 180-degree shutter angle, so that's why you see the blur, the proper kind of like common motion blur that you see in videos. But then with this in aperture priority mode, where you are letting the camera decide on the shutter speed and ISO, on a daylight or daytime, like a bright sunny day, it will most likely have like too fast of a shutter speed. But that's just how we like to use this camera, as we don't want to have to put on ND filter, take off ND filter, just when we want to take a quick video of what we are taking photos of. So that's why these settings are for a quick turnaround without jumping into the video mode. For video mode, we will be using the 6.2K open gate. Basically, what happened is if you are using the 6.2K open gate mode, it will basically use the entire height of the sensor. You have a taller image. This way, we have the maximum ability to crop in post, just in case if we need to crop, we still have higher resolution than just using the 4K 16:9 with the black bars, because if you crop into that, it will be a lower quality image. So 6.2K. And also when you're using 6.2K, we notice that the file sizes and also the time limit is not really changing at all. Like it's the same as when you are using 4K video mode. So like you're not really using that much space more than 4K. High speed recording, this is for slow motion. We don't usually do for slow motion videos. I think I've only done like 10 clips that is like slow motion and like for my entire like videography kind of career. So this is again for people who want to take like high speed video. For media record settings, this is really, really important because we're only using SD card on the XS20. You can use HDMI output to Blackmagic Assist or like Atomos Ninja V or Atomos Ninja 5 to record ProRes or Blackmagic RAW, but we are not using RAW. We're going to have the file size or the file format in H.265, long GOP 422 10-bit at 100 megabits per second. That is probably the most efficient format. It's not the highest quality, but then it's still good. H.265, you just need to make sure that your camera, your computer can handle this kind of file because the camera is only recording information or the main data in the first and the last frame of the video. And the the computer has to decode it to apply everything onto the entire clip in order for you to edit it. So on slower computers, you might not be able to handle that kind of H.265 files. IS mode for video, I have the IBIS on because what I'm using right now is not an optical stabilized lens. It's a 35 millimeter f1.4 Fujifilm lens. It doesn't have optical stabilization. So I use the IBIS for video, so it's more stable. IS mode boost is off. This is the tripod mode. I don't use it most of the time because I want that natural movement. And if you're using this mode, a lot of times when you're panning or moving the camera, it will ping pong the sensor. It would just jump like when you are moving. So I don't like that. Audio settings, these are default. Record frame indicator on. This is the red frame when you are recording videos. So this is really important. I like to have it so I know that I'm recording, but it will block the screen a little bit. So it's something that we use all the time and we really like this feature. Okay, jumping into user settings. This is where you can set the camera settings, not something that it will affect the image. So these are just your normal settings, you format your SD card, just be safe. My menu settings, this is something that you can set up so you can have like a quick menu. It's really, really confusing. This is for this, my menu, like the my menu here. And then you have another quick menu setting. So there's a lot of stuff. I know Fujifilm camera can have like quite overwhelming settings pages. Sensor cleaning, we usually leave it to on when it's like switching off the camera, so it shakes the sensor to get rid of dust. And battery age, this is to check how new your battery is. Sound and flash, I don't know what this is. We just leave it at default. You know, reset the settings. And we turned most of the sound off when we are using this camera. And because we don't like our cameras to make any noise, we don't like the beeping sound, we don't like the fake shutter sound, so we keep everything off except the self timer so we can hear when we're taking a photos with the timer, because like the shutter sounds are like really bad. Even for recording videos, we don't like the camera to beep. Playback volume, this is just for you to play back your video. We usually leave it to like something in the middle, so when we play back videos, it doesn't like annoy other people if like other people are not like paying attention beside you or playing a loud audio. This is just for the XLR module, I think. We don't have it. Few mode settings. On this one, we set it to sensors and sensor for playback, and also when we're taking photos or videos, just because we want to use the eye cup as like the eye cup sensor to trigger the eyepiece or the EVF and the screen. Of course, you can use different mode, but what we found out is even when you're using the LCD only mode, we were trying to do that so we don't have to let the eye sensor to switch between EVF and the LCD. So when we're carrying our camera on a strap, when it bumps into our body, it's not going to keep on switching the eyepiece and the screen and keep the camera on, but it will still keep the camera on. We tested it. We set it to LCD only, and it will still use the sensor for some reason, and it will keep the screen on. So I wish we can turn the sensor off completely so we can just use the screen. We usually use the screen only. These are just brightness settings. You can adjust it to your liking, and you can adjust the colors of the screen and EVF so it's more accurate to whatever that you're referring to. And we'll talk about this settings in another video just because this is really important actually. You can copy the settings for now if it helps, but then we actually want to make another video talking about this because like every screen should have like different settings. Image display, we have it set to continuous because after taking a photo, your image will stay on the screen for like a second or two. We keep it to continuous just so that we can look at the image without having to press the playback button. And if we half press the shutter or do whatever, like press any button, it would jump back into like the regular photo mode. We just want to keep it there so it's easier for us to review the image. Auto rotation display, this is for you to display the settings on the screen like these ones. When you rotate the camera, everything will flip, so it's nicer and easier to see your settings. But we don't usually look at the settings anyway like that often when we're taking photos. Okay, oh, let's jump to a different page. Anyway, let's go back here. Yes, these are all default settings. We did not touch anything except F-Log View Assist. This is when you're recording videos in F-Log or F-Log 2, and it will convert your image from a flat, no color, kind of desaturated, uncontrast image or video into something that is a little bit more normal with a Rec 709-ish kind of look. So you can see what you are filming with the colors and everything. So I leave it on. It doesn't hurt having it on, to be honest. Level, electronic level, we don't touch it. Frame guide, it doesn't have any video frame guide. It has the regular like 9 grid kind of photo grade frame line, but it doesn't have like 2:3:5:1 video aspect ratio grid line, so we don't touch it. Auto rotate playback, this is for you when you are taking, let's say, a portrait photo, and if you are playing back your photo, it will switch to landscape, so it doesn't show like in a portrait screen kind of orientation. So it's easier for you to play back your portrait photos. But then the problem is it's really small. Basically, it's like in the middle of the screen and you can't really see much. So we keep it as keep it off to show the photo in portrait mode. We just rotate the camera to show the photos or check the photo. So it's really up to you. Focus scale unit, this is meter. You can change it to feet, I think. Aperture number for cine lenses, T number. It's not f-stop. For cine lenses, they're not measuring like light by f-stop, but it's by t-stop. So just keep it t-stop, I guess. I don't use cine lenses on this. Display custom settings, we just leave everything as default because everything seems to be fine. If you want something different, let's say, if you want like a histogram fixed on your screen, then sure. These are just changing the font. These are the same. Oh, Q menu background, we set it to transparent. So when we are using the Q menu button, you can still kind of see what's behind it. So if you change the settings, you can see what's going to happen to the image a little bit. So we keep it to transparent for both. Oh, man. It jumps back to the first page. Same thing for video. Q menu background is transparent. And then focus lever setting, this is just to change. I think if you have a lens that has the focus lever, that flip thingy on the lens, you can change it to different functions. This is a really interesting page. For photo quick menu, that is the Q menu that I just talked about. These are the items. Most of them are at default settings, but you can change it according to your liking. I keep it at 16 slots because I want the most options. I think I've only changed a shutter type for photo mode here, and then white balance, and then pretty much everything is the same. I think I will change the animal eye detect or whatever subject detect mode here, but I don't really need that much stuff anyway. I have like custom buttons and swipes and stuff, so I don't really need to use that much. For video, this is all the settings. Most of them again are default. I think everything is default almost, and this allows you to change the settings of your camera quickly in video mode. I think we just left it in default. That's the quickest way. This is where we made the most changes on the XS20. The record button is still record button. Usually we'll change it to something else, but because we want this camera to be absolutely hybrid, we will take photos with the shutter button and then record video with the record button super quickly without jumping mode or changing anything or without putting on an ND filter. That's why we keep it as a record button. It will have weird shutter speed. Yes, we know, but we just need like a quick clip or two. For the ISO button, we change it to white balance just because we change white balance more often than changing ISO because we're always in aperture priority mode most of the time. All my custom modes are in aperture priority mode. So the camera will decide on the ISO itself, but I will change the white balance so I can get the look exactly how I want in camera. So that's more important than ISO to us. For Q menu button, still it's using Q menu. Function mode, this is the view mode, basically to change if it's a LCD only or EVF only. We have it set to here. I think this is default like white balance for some reason. But this one is really weird to press, so we don't really care about that. For swipe up, we set it to view images, so playback, so we don't have to reach to this side to press onto the playback button, so we can just swipe up to see the images. And then we have zebra set to the swipe to the left, and that is only applicable to video modes. So if you're in manual video mode, then you will see the zebra, and if you're in photo mode, you're basically like missing or losing a button. So it's up to you. This one is really important. For histogram, we have it swipe to the right to call out the histogram. For example, like here, we can swipe right to see all the histogram, to see if our images are over or underexposed. For the newer Fujifilm cameras like the XS20, we found that the touchscreen is way more sensitive compared to, let's say, the X100V. We had so much problem with that touchscreen. We cannot get anything to work, but for these newer screens, you can see how sensitive it is. I wish we can use it for the menu stuff, but we can't. The next one, swipe down, is for us to apply different film simulation. We might change it because we think that we might use it for white balance instead. And then we'll change the ISO button to something else. For AEL button, which is this tiny little thing right here, we change it to AF mode. That is for you to change the frame or the AF box size. So if you press this button right here, it allows you to do that. For the AF on button, right here, this bigger button here, we have it set to auto exposure lock. This is really important because when we are doing quick videos on the go with the red record button in aperture priority mode, the camera will keep adjusting the exposure, so you will see the image going like bright, dark, like depending on your scene. So we don't like that, and the exposure changes is really jarring. It's like stepping. It's not really like smooth. So we have this button on. After you press the record button, you can press and hold on to AF mode on to lock the exposure, so it doesn't change the exposure at all. So that's what we prefer. And you cannot lock the exposure before you press record. So you have to press record and then press the exposure lock button right here. You have to press and hold that. And then function D, which is this dial right here on the left-hand side, default is for film simulation. I think that is kind of weird that we have a dial just for film simulation. And when you are using that dial, another really weird quirk is when you first turn it, it stays on to whatever that you're on in that settings, and then you have to turn it again to go to the next item. So that's kind of weird. I wish it would just allow you to just change it. We change it to focus mode, which means we're going to change from AFS to AFC to manual focus, and that is because in the past we have uh, all our Fujifilm camera having the manual AFS AFC mode kind of like knob at the front, but this camera doesn't have it, so we changed this to that knob. So that's why we had that. And then power zoom, that's what power zoom lenses. Command dial settings, we just have it pretty much the same thing. We have the we are always using aperture priority mode. For these ones, like you just uh, we just leave them in the default settings. We flip this. We flip this to not shutter speed, but F, which is the aperture. Oh, why is that in aperture? Let's see. Oh, they don't allow you to do anything. Yes. So um, for the front dial, we change it to exposure compensation. So it's quicker because that dial is easier to flip compared to this dial right here. It's just in front of your shutter button. You just use this to change the brightness of the scene, and then you just click onto the shutter button to take the photo. So this is our settings. And I have no idea what that is, and we just leave it on as default. Command down direction, this is where that is kind of weird. Some settings, let's say ISO, if you don't change it, if you use this to change your ISO, turning it to the right is actually like lowering the ISO. Like they said, it's because it matches the dial on like Fujifilm cameras with like the top dials. Let's say the XT5, but it's weird. We just leave it at default right now. But if you use this to change your ISO, you better change the rear command dial direction. Shutter AF, basically using the shutter button to half press and focus. Shutter AE, same thing. We leave everything in the default settings. Shoot without lens, we turn it off. We don't know why you will shoot without a lens. Probably because when you're using a manual focus lens, then sure, but then we don't use manual focus lens. We will keep it off. Shoot without card, this is even worse. I don't know why they have this kind of like settings where you, if you don't have a card, you will be able to take a picture, but it's not saved anywhere. So I'll keep it off all the time. Focus settings. This is for you to change the focus ring on the lens to like which direction to focus further or closer, and linear, non-linear. Linear is kind of better because you can basically repeat the focus pull, but we don't use many focus, so we left everything as default. We didn't touch any of these. Nope. Same thing. We have this touch screen setting on. It's not really doing much. It's just for you to tap onto the quick menu to adjust the settings. Yep, everything is quite simple. We left most of the stuff on default. Touch zoom, it's a pinch and the spread your fingers to zoom onto the image. We don't use the lock. Okay, auto power off, we left it to 1 minute, so it's something that is up to you. We have performance set to economy because we want to save battery life, and it's fine. It's not going to affect your camera that much anyway. So that's why. For EVF and LCD, we don't use the high frame rate because it's going to drain the power more. We have it set to resolution priority so we can see if the image is in focus or not. So we switch it to resolution priority. Auto power off, temperature set to high because yes, this camera will have temperature warning if you use it in a hot environment for too long. We have it set to high so it doesn't shut off the camera that quickly. Again, this is you choose this at your own risk. We keep it at high so the camera doesn't turn off right away when it overheats a little bit. These are just file like names. We don't touch that. Okay, so that's done. We didn't change anything here for network settings. We just have airplane mode turned on just because we're not connected to any smart devices or computers wirelessly. So why not just turn all the wireless connection off to save power? So that's for aperture priority mode and for photos and videos. Let me switch to the video mode and show you the last thing that we have when we are taking videos. Let's go to the first page. So again, we are in menu mode when we're taking videos in this mode right here. We have open gate 24 frames per second, and we have the shutter speed set to 1 over 48th of a second. I don't think you can see it. The screen is so bright right now. So 180 shutter angle right there. High speed, nothing, no. Same thing, H.265 long gulp, 42 10-bit, 100 megabits per second. HDMI output settings, we turn it off. We don't have a recorder. For this one right here, we are filming an F-Log 2 for both SD card and HDMI because we want to make sure that we have the highest dynamic range. But just keep in mind that for F-Log 2, you have a minimum ISO of 1250. So that's a pretty high ISO for a lot of stuff. So remember to bring your ND filters. Data level settings, I leave it at like default. Flickerless shutter speed settings, that is when you are seeing flickering when you are filming indoor. Same thing, IBIS on, not boost mode. ISO you can only go lower, like as low as 1250. And I think this is the first base, and the second base ISO should be like 3200. Zebra, we set it to right side, so it doesn't matter. I don't know why they let you choose the direction, but you will see zebra if it's like too bright. Let's say like, oh, you don't see anything here right now, but when the image is too bright, it will show the zebra. Zebra level, we set it to 80% because usually that's when the highlights are starting to clip. The last thing we want is to have clipping highlights to make the image look like amateur and not professional. So we'll set it to 80% just to be safe. You can set it higher, but 80% is just to be safe. These are the same thing. The red frame, when you're recording, it's on. Tally light, we turned it off. We don't need to see the light flashing or like turning on when you're recording. These are exactly the same. Yeah, so white balance up. We have sharpness set to -4 because we don't need any sharper image than like a 6.2K downsample image. So we set it to -4, and we have a high ISO noise reduction set to -4. We don't need noise reduction in Fujifilm cameras. And same thing, interframe noise reduction off, so it's not doing any noise reduction at all. And yeah, so autofocus is on autofocus continuous. This is, of course, depending on the situation, it will continuously focus and find the subject and adjust the focus according to where the subject is. But Fujifilm cameras, they have improved the autofocus, but of course, it's still not Sony level. So sometimes we have to flip it to single point autofocus and just use it manually. Autofocus mode, we keep it as area, so we have like a box that we can control where the autofocus is. We don't like multi because autofocus on Fujifilm cameras are still not that great yet. AFC custom settings, we have tracking set to 0, which is the lowest number, and AF speed to -3, so we have a smoother transition between like focus adjustment when you are setting it to autofocus, so it doesn't jump and it doesn't like panic and have like focus hunt as much. Everything is default. This is to detect the face. Again, we don't set the eye autofocus detection on when we have this, so we have face detect only. Subject detection, these are according to your scene. Yep. So that's pretty much it for the video mode as well. That's it. Those are the settings on our Fujifilm XS20. If we have any new updates or big changes on the settings, we'll try to make another video in the future to update you guys. Let us know what you think in the comment section below. And if you have any settings that you use on your XS20 or any Fujifilm cameras, share with us in the comment section below as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.